So Derek Harper is making it happen on both ends. The three-point shot, and now this play.
Now look at that hustle by Harper getting over there and knocking the ball off Rivers' leg. Now we've seen Aguirre step forward and say, hey, I'll get us back in a groove. And we've seen Harper hitting the three and getting aggressive defensively.
Dallas trailing by 2. Aguirre sneaks in and ties the score. Now we have the shootout. The two superstars are online. Aguirre with 23, Wilkins with 26, and a dead even game.
That's what Aguirre's got to do. Deny that ball to Dominique. Don't let him touch the basketball.
6 on the shot clock. Rivers fires outside. Mavericks will try to regain the lead here. Harper, another three. Cleared by Livingston. Now the Hawks looking to take the lead.
Aguirre is tired.
Inside to Wilkins. Double teams. And a loose ball foul is called against the Atlanta Hawks.
Now what's the body control of Mark Aguirre to avoid the block shot? Just taking it over there with those big hands and banking it off the glass.
Livingston has picked up his 3rd personal foul of the ball game. So Livingston and Concac each with 3 fouls for the Hawks and Mark Aguirre.
But that foul by Livingston is a foul that Mike Fratello was not upset with because they're aggressive fouls. They're going to the boards, and that's what Livingston does best, and that's how he contributes, his way of contributing to the Hawk ballpark.
Donaldson. James Donaldson did not play in that playoff loss to Seattle last year. He has since injured his hamstrings. Kevin Willis comes in for Livingston. And the question is, can the Dallas Mavericks succeed if Donaldson does not become any kind of an offensive contributor at center?
I think the feeling is that he will get over that hamstring problem, and he will be able to contribute 10 points, 12 points to this team offensively.
Mavericks by 1. Nearly halfway through this 3rd period. And the Mavericks have tightened their defense on the half court. And they'll call the foul on Harper. He tried to strip it away from Rivers, and that'll be his 3rd foul. Roy Tarpley replaces Donaldson for Dallas.
It's really funny. All of a sudden, the Dallas team was challenged. They fall behind, and now they gather themselves a little bit. How the crowd has gotten into the game. They played so well in the first half, but the crowd was not there.
Isn't it interesting, Bill, how Dallas dominated the first half, had the lead all the way, and the crowd wasn't convinced. They weren't sold on it until Atlanta put their run on, and then the Mavericks came back, and now they said, okay, now we're in it.
Tough to figure.
Sure is. Wilkins guarded by Aguirre. Bad pass, Rivers saved it, and Whitman on the baseline. Tapped in by Dominique Wilkins after Concac's miss, and Dallas, if Dallas is going to win the game, they're going to have to do a better job off the defensive board.
Absolutely.
Out of bounds, turn it over to Dallas.
It's one thing to give up the long jump shot to Dominique, but it's another thing. Oh, we see Rivers and Aguirre, 2 guys from Chicago. Going at it.
Well, they hope to meet at the All-Star game in a few weeks, I think. They see in the Windy City. Mark, you too, Doc.
Well, I'm sure it would be a great achievement. You know, Aguirre should make the All-Star team. There's no question with his performance. And Rivers has a shot at it, but I think he'll have to be named by the coach.
Long shot.
Long shot.
Brad Davis staying with Whitman off the screen. Kevin Willis facing the hoop against Perkins. Double team leaves Whitman wide open. And as you said earlier, he's got to hit that shot. They get another chance, and Concac connects inside. John Concac with 8 points in the ball game.
Dallas is not going to have any chance of beating the Hawk team if they keep giving them second opportunities.
That's really what it comes down to, and John McLeod has told us as much yesterday. Blocking foul on Willis, and that'll be his 3rd. And right now, Dallas in front in the Midwest Division. Let's take a close look at one of the two closest fought divisions. Houston and Denver trail by 3 games. And it's been a long fight back for Denver.
Yeah, and 2 teams, Houston and Denver, that have made some changes. Jay Vincent and Adams, joining that ball club. And, of course, Houston making that big trade with Joe B. Carroll and Floyd joining that club. And it looks like right now you'd have to say Houston has got the better of that deal.
Houston's chemistry has improved in a tremendous manner since they made that deal. In fact, even Carroll and Olajuwon have been effective playing together. So I think that the Rockets made that deal at the right time.
And I would be very concerned if I was Pat Riley.
64-62, Atlanta with nearly 4.5 remaining in the third. They're doubling Dominique Wilkins. Whitman. And that time he buried it.
There's a case where Dominique Wilkins, if you pick up a stat sheet, will not get an assist. But because of the double team, they were able to swing it, and he was the one that allowed Whitman to get that open jump shot.
Hockey, he'd get an assist.
Absolutely.
Knocked away by Wilkins. Causes the turnover into the hands of Rivers. Whitman in the lane against some big people. Scooping it up, and a fine play by Randy Whitman. Keep in mind, he's had an off year, and the Hawks with their biggest lead now of 6 at 68-62. At one point, they were down by 11 in the first half. 3:45 to go. Low post. Aguirre looking to pass. Puts it up and gets it. And Aguirre with 26.
You know the thing that amazes me about Mark Aguirre? He's 6'5". He's inside in that situation with guys 7 feet tall. And Dominique Wilkins, we know how he can jump. And he just shoots it right over them. I asked John McLeod, how does he do it? And he said, I don't know. Just keep doing it.
He doesn't want to know. 8 seconds on the clock. Dominique gets it. Oh, what about a score? Great play by Wilkins. How do you figure that?
He shot the ball. He was the first one. He was standing under the basket. 15 feet he went and just bang, he was there.
He's got 16 this period, Wilkins, and 30 in the ball game. 3:03 to go, and Barkley hits from outside. But we are seeing 2 special players. Wilkins, 4th in the league in scoring. Aguirre 5th, and they're having a shootout this afternoon. Wilkins has really come alive in the second half. A 4-point Atlanta lead, and Whitman with 2 more.
Now we see with Shrimp in there at the guard position, as we saw in the first half with Wilkins, they're running him off the baselines, looking for Whitman.
16 on the shot clock. 6-point Atlanta lead with less than 2.5 to play in the third. Aguirre can't fake Wilkins. Open man Shrimp for 3, and he hits it.
Did he call that? Did he call backboard?
Yeah, I think you have to call it for it to count.
It's only 2.5 if you don't.
He had missed 12 in a row and was 1 for 14 on the year before he hit that shot. That'll do a world of confidence for Detlef Schrempf. This game is tightened up. We've got a rouser here in Dallas. I wonder if folks appreciate everything Dominique Wilkins does for his team. I asked Meek yesterday.
I think people sometimes do tend to take me for granted because they look at me as basically a scorer. But I do more than just score points. You know, I help guys around me. I'm passing the ball more. I'm playing better individual defense and rebounding more. And I don't think people look at the little things that I try to do for my team and the guys around me.
And here's one of those little things that when you look at statistics, this is how they can be misleading, because he's going to swing it to Rivers, over there to Whitman, and that only reason Whitman got the open shot was Dominique Wilkins. Now, I don't think I have to say a word about this, because watch Dominique miss the shot, and look at that. There's no one in basketball that can do that.
He carries his team, and anyone who does as good as the stars in the game don't know.
You got that right. And the thing is to see, like you said, forget about the points he scored in this period. We saw that pass. How about the steals and the rebounds at the defensive end?
Mavericks trailing by 3. By the way, the Hawks have shot 70% in this quarter after a 38% woeful shooting first half. 2 minutes to go. Donaldson on a pass from Roy Tarpley, and under 2 minutes to go in the third.
And now with Dominique out of the game, someone's got to pick up the scoring slack, and they'll look at Whitman to do that.
Livingston. Rebound Harper. Hawks get back defensively. Aguirre with a turnaround. And they're going to have a loose ball foul called against the Mavericks. The shooting story again, and it can't be overemphasized. Look at what Atlanta has done primarily because of Dominique Wilkins. And Dallas not shooting badly at all themselves. They're over 50%.
Over 50. The only thing they've done poorly in this period is defensive rebound. They've allowed too many second shots.
Konkak inside, knocked away by Tarpley. Last foul, by the way, against Donaldson.
3 seconds on the 24-second clock.
And Whitman saw it, got the shot up, missed it. Livingston's second effort is good and is fouled. So everything going Atlanta's way, this way in the third period.
Now, that was a smart play by Whitman because he realized there were only a couple of seconds on the 24-second clock. It wasn't a good shot, but look what it ended up giving the Hawks. A three-point opportunity for Cliff Livingston.
Tarpley with his second foul. Both teams have been in the penalty, and with 1:10 remaining in the third, this has been a bonanza for the Atlanta Hawks. And it was Dominique Wilkins who scored 12 of the first 14 points as the Hawks ran out to a 14-0 third period and now lead by 4.
Now we see them going to their 2-2-1 trap, just trying to force the... Oh, look,
they forced it, and Willis knocked it away, but it got the job done.
Yeah, what was different is in the first half, all they did was try to force the Mavericks to use a little bit more of that 24-second clock. This now to start the third period, the end of the third period, they're looking for the steals.
Willis picks up Harper on a switch. Tarpley. He's hit a couple of outside shots, and quietly Tarpley with 11 points has kept the Mavericks in.
He has, and we know he can shoot that jump shot, but for him to really be a bigger factor for this team is he's got to go inside and be a post-up player.
When you're 6'11", you better be a post-up player. Whitman comes on a baseline screen, and Randy Whitman has 12 points, 8 of them here in the third.
It's beautiful watching these coaches adjusting to the substitutions. As soon as Shrimp came in the ball game, what did Mike Fratello do? Running the baseline screens for Whitman, and Declan Shrimp, 6'8", cannot get through the screens.
We haven't seen much of John Battle in this third period, however, and Cliff Livingston has picked up his 4th personal foul.
Now we see Whitman right underneath the basket, running on the baseline. Shrimp, look what he's got to do, and see how the screens just get up a little high, and there's the open shot.
These coaches know what plays work with certain personnel in the game. Antoine Carr is in replacing Cliff Livingston, who goes out with 4 personal fouls. So now with Carr in there, we can look for an added scorer inside for Atlanta.
And we'll probably see Dallas doubling down when he gets the basketball in the low post.
Aguirre, meanwhile, with 28 points. 11 here in the third period. 16 on the shot clock. You look at the game clock, and a 2-point lead.
Now they'll run Whitman. He'll go down the lane and come off a single or a double screen.
He comes off a double screen and returns it to Rivers with 1 on the shot clock, and they don't get it off in time. And the 24-second clock gives it over to Dallas.
Great defense by the Mavericks.
And they knew the play that Atlanta was trying to run.
They should. They've seen it the last 4 times down the court.
Final seconds and a foul. With 2 seconds remaining in the third period, Kevin Willis has picked up his 4th personal foul. And there's a signal from John McLeod here.
He's excited. He's just excited, right? What a class act John McLeod is.
He's 50 years old, and the guy looks like he's 40 at the most.
He's the type of guy you don't want to hang around with. I want to hang around with Frank Layden.
He's really under control, John McLeod. Don't forget, UNLV and Providence. Most of you will see that second half of our basketball doubleheader. Memphis State and Tulsa, the other game. We're tied at 77 with 2 seconds remaining. in the third period, and that'll do it. And that's the end of the third period. We're tied at 77. We'll return to Reunion Arena in Dallas after this message and a word from your local station. The Atlanta Hawks get back in this game. Dominique Wilkins sparked them early. Atlanta continued their mastery off the offensive boards, and Doc Rivers got the ball to the right people at the right time. But what are your views of a tie game going to the fourth period and the way both teams have handled this, Bill?
Well, both teams have struggled during stretches. Atlanta in the first period, and we saw in that third period Dallas struggling. But I saw a mental toughness. There was never a time where anybody put their head down. They were going to find a way to battle back, and that's what you need if you have any intentions of progressing through the playoffs.
And that's why they both won over 50 games last year. They set franchise records last season, the Atlanta Hawks, with 57 victories and 55 for Dallas. Offensive foul is called against the Atlanta Hawks, and it's Tree Rollins, who has not seen much action. And keep in mind, Rollins didn't play at Denver. He has a sore back, so that's why he hasn't played his normal minutes in the game. Harper gets it to Perkins. Perkins goes for three. Wilkins comes down with it. Wilkins scored 16, Bill, and his record for most points in a period of 18 this year. Not a record day for him there, but he was red hot in Rivers scored.
And we see this big lineup in there now for Dallas. Perkins is the shortest at 6'10". I'm sure John McLeod wants to improve his rebounding.
But the Mavericks aren't making good passes inside. Dominique has picked off a couple.
And also, Perkins has got to hold that position and not allow Dominique to just sneak around.
Atlanta by 2. Their biggest lead was 6. Rollins didn't score a point this year till his 6th game of the season. He really is a non-factor offensively, but defensively, another story. Defensively and off the court, he's the man the players go to, and he's the one that keeps things straight in the locker room. Perkins doubled, leaving Schrempf open. He puts a fake on Carr and lofts it over Rollins. Doesn't go, and here comes Atlanta with a fast break opportunity. Rivers down the middle. Oh, and Antoine Carr gets fouled inside. Now here's that pass inside to Perkins. Perkins has got to hold that position. He doesn't, and he allows Dominique to just slip around and steal the basketball. Foul is on Detlef Schrempf, and that's the first foul of this fourth period. Wilkins mostly responsible for that 57% by Atlanta here in the second half. Antoine Carr hits the shot. You mentioned how he did well in the playoffs last year. He has not yet played up to the level of those playoffs, although he's coming off a career-high 21-point effort against Denver the other night. I think, though, just his presence working there, it's a great deal of motivation for Willis and Livingston, because they know that if they don't produce in those areas, he's going to have to step in and take their position and their minutes away from him. Mavericks trail by 4. Harpley tries to keep it alive and does. Settling for the quick shot right now, Dallas. They got to look to get something good. High post is Donaldson. No one inside. Now Schrempf goes there, and they're going to call Antoine Carr with the foul against Harpley. So Atlanta right now with the lead in the Central Division. This is, without question, the toughest division in the league. Cleveland is just 1 game under 500, but Detroit's playing well. Chicago's tailed off a bit, and that is the cream of the crop of the 4 divisions. Donaldson, basket counts, and a foul. What about that division? Do you remember a tougher division? I mean, with as many clubs? No, I don't. But the thing is a couple of years ago, it was the worst division. So all those franchises have done an excellent job in rejuvenating their teams. Winner of that's going to be real tough postseason.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Basketball Association is sponsored by Schick, maker of Schick Plus disposable and Super 2 Plus blades for the easy touch. Chrysler Motors, we just want to be the best. And by Midas, for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Midas size, get it right the first time.
Dick Stockton and Billy Cunningham here in the fourth period with Atlanta leading Dallas 81-79. Mike Fratello leading the Hawks, who have a one-game lead over the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. Why is that significant? Because voting ends tonight for balloting for players in the All-Star game, but the record after next Sunday will determine who will be the Eastern Conference coach. Look at the schedules. Right now, Atlanta has a one-game lead, and just at a quick glance, it looks as if Casey Jones off the schedule may find himself in Chicago. It's going to be tough for Mike, don't you think?
Well, I know it's going to be tough, but what a thrill it is. I remember the first game I had the fortune of coaching in the All-Star game, and it was in Atlanta, and I was scared to death. You know, going in there and coaching all these All-Stars. It was my first year in coaching, and I look over there, and there's a guy named Havlicek who's older than I have of coaching, and it was just such a great thrill and honor.
Well, Mike Fratello, would be a tremendous thrill for him, and maybe it'll come down to Atlanta having to beat the Celtics in Boston Garden. No mean feat for him to get that now.
It's not the game you'd hope to get into that All-Star game with if you're Mike Fratello.
Atlanta by 1, 9:40 to go. Rivers going strong to the hoop. Coming into the hands of Donaldson. Mavericks looking to take the lead. They led throughout the first half. Triple team on Perkins. Shrimp is wide open. They go now out to Dedler. And an offensive foul against Shrimp.
James Donaldson had Whitman on him when the ball was swung to him, and he had made his mind up he was going to pass it. He should have realized it. He should have. Now you can see right there with Whitman playing Donaldson, he shouldn't have thrown it out to Shrimp. He should have looked to post him up and just shoot the jump shot right over him.
3 fouls on Detlef. Team fouls have Atlanta with 2 and Dallas 1 here in the fourth period with 9:10 remaining. 81-80. What a beautiful, smooth baseline move by Wilkins, who has 32.
And that's not what John McLeod wants Perkins to do. If anything, force him back towards the middle where there's some defensive help.
Harper going strong to the basket is fouled. That'll be the third team foul against Atlanta. And, of course, we're going to be with you next Sunday, and this should be a real dandy. The Los Angeles Lakers, our first look at the defending world champions, who just recently had their 15-game winning streak snapped against the Clippers, against the Seattle Supersonics, who got all the way to the NBA's Western Finals last year before losing to the Lakers, and that should be quite a clash in Seattle.
It should be. The Sonics are playing exceptionally well at home, but a team that I thought would be playing better at this time of the year overall because of their success and the way they did play in the playoffs.
Harper makes 1 out of 2. Of course, Seattle will play a few home games. They've been on the road more than at home so far this year. Spud Webb is in the ball game, and he has the ball.
Here's the isolation with Dominique. Perkins has got to force him middle.
He did, and it worked. Donaldson clears.
He did, and he had a hand in Wilkins' face.
Mavericks can tie it up, and Harper, and it's tipped up and in by Tarpley, and Roy Tarpley now has given the Mavericks a tie at 83.
And what we're seeing is this big front line of Dallas is doing a better job on the glass.
Wilkins goes in. Looked like he might have traveled. No matter, it's Dallas with Shrimp. Webb is guarding Harper. Perkins fouled by Tree Rollins. What about the front lines now? Rollins, the defensive player, how would you rate the way the front lines are playing right now?
Well, right now, the only offensive threat we've seen for Atlanta is Dominique. Willis and Tree have not been involved offensively. At the other end, we've seen Perkins, Tarpley, and Donaldson contribute offensively.
Davis, you saw, came in replacing Harper, and John Battle will get the call momentarily. Sam Perkins at the line. He has scored 13 points, all coming in the first half.
And this is what Sam Perkins has got to do for this Dallas team. He's got to be more consistent with his offense, more consistently involved in it in some way. And as you said, second half he hasn't been involved.
Really, with Battle and Webb in there, I would think that Atlanta has a lot of firepower to try to run.
That's an understatement with that speed out there. But the key is now Shrimp has got his hands full because now Battle, they might look to isolate and go one-on-one against Shrimp.
Notice how Dallas has tightened it up inside off the glass. Battle going to the hoop, feeds to Tree Rollins. Second effort is fouled. Rollins, tough to get him in the scoring column. He's averaging under 5, and Rollins and Detlef Schrempf have to be separated right now. Schrempf, I think, still wants a little bit of a skirmish.
I think Detlef should just back off and shake hands with Tree, if anything.
James Donaldson is called for his 3rd foul, and for Dallas, their 2nd team foul. Atlanta, 1 more for Atlanta there in the penalty. Here's what happened.
We see Tree after missing that shot. What happens is it's Tarpley and Tree voicing, you know, a little displeasure between each other, and Schrempf tries to step in, and Tree wasn't pleased with that.
Rollins will go to the line in an 84-83 game. Mike Fratello has led Atlanta to 50 wins twice in a row for the first time in Hawks history. Now Aguirre will come in the ballgame, and he'll replace Sam Perkins. Aguirre coming in and scored 28.
Now we'll see Dominique and Aguirre matched up against each other offensively and defensively.
And that's what maybe it should come down to.
Just, you know, get these other 8 guys off the court and let's go one-on-one. Be a heck of a match.
Donaldson trying to set a screen for Davis, and Tarpley shot inside. Inner defense, that's why Atlanta's the best that way. Hustle for the loose ball. Rollins gets it to Wilkins, and he'll call a foul on Brad Davis. Tree Rollins with tremendous hustle. The veteran was all over the floor for this one.
And the thing about it is Tree missed the last few games because of a back injury, so that just tells you something about the guy.
He'll inbound the ball. Davis with 3 fouls. Livingston has 4 and Willis 4 for the Hawks. They're the only players with 4 fouls in the game. Schrempf is now on Wilkins. Double team on Willis. Big basket for the Hawks, who lead by 3.
And a big basket for Willis because he's been struggling.
Webb got a hand on it. Now Willis. Wilkins is guarding Aguirre. Pass was tipped, and a foul called at the other end against the Atlanta Hawks. And they're in the penalty. So that's the penalty, and so the Dallas Mavericks will go to the line when we come back to Reunion Arena in a thriller. Got an exciting game here with Atlanta leading Dallas by 3. Coming up next, most of you will see UNLV at Providence, and Vern Lundquist and Billy Packer are in Providence for the report. Let's go to Vern.
All right, Dick, you're looking live at the Providence Civic Center, where a crowd of 15,000 will be filling the place for a rematch of 2 of last year's Final Four teams, UNLV against Providence, coming up. Providence led by senior guard Delray Brooks. He, the king of the three-pointers, averaging 16.2 points per season. In leading the Providence Friars to an 8-4 mark, Jarvis Basnight of UNLV is the leading field goal percentage shooter in the United States. He's hitting 70% from the field. It's coming up next, UNLV against Providence. Now back to Dick Stockton and Billy Cunningham.
All right, Vern, thank you very much. What are we going to see here, Bill?
Well, we're going to see an adjustment. We're going to see Detlef Schrempf, who is on the right-hand side of your screen, and Mark Aguirre switch defensively because John McLeod knew that he wasn't doing the job fighting through the screens, and this is one of the adjustments they had to make.
Detlef Schrempf, who broke a long drought with a 3-point shot. And that's been the big key for the Mavericks. They need a scorer off the bench, and they haven't gotten it yet from Detlef Schrempf. If he comes through, Dallas really could contend in the Western Conference honors.
They could, because then they have 3 good basketball players that all can contribute off the bench, and that's Davis. We know he can play 2 positions, the lead guard, off guard. Tarpley can play the center position or the power forward position, and then Schrempf can come in and give them that offense and get them going, give them a spark.
And of course, today they're limited with that blocking. In effect, they have what, 6-7-man squad.
Exactly right. The way Schrempf's playing, you know, they have a 7-man rotation.
2 free throws by Donaldson. 1-point Atlanta lead with 6:45 now remaining in the fourth period.
You see them switching on that play when they cross underneath.
John Battle pulls up over Aguirre and throws up an air ball, but Tarpley couldn't hold on out of bounds, so Atlanta will get another shot.
Now with 5 seconds to play, they're going to have to look for the quick shot. You got to look for the possible lob to Dominique or Webb coming off the baseline screen. He's got to get it up quick.
Webb with 3 seconds. Rebound Tarpley. And the Mavericks can take the lead, but Brad Davis threw it away, and no one in the vicinity of the ball. And now Mark Aguirre looks at Davis and said, I think I was the guy who you were going to get it to.
Well, I don't know how.
Nearly halfway through this final period. Atlanta keeps the lead, and they're posting up Wilkins against Detlef Schrempf. They want to get the ball to Dominique if they can. Battle, though, drives and gets 0 on it, and a foul call. Battle came around, and a foul called against the Mavericks. That'll be their 4th team foul. Atlanta already in the penalties.
Well, you see, Battle is not comfortable with the basketball right now. He's not in any type of rhythm because he had the opportunity for that open shot, but put it on the floor, trying to get some rhythm, to get some confidence out there.
Detlef Schrempf with 4 fouls goes out of the ball game, and Sam Perkins comes back in. And Tarpley also goes out. So Harper and Davis, the starting guards, are in with Donaldson, Aguirre, and Perkins, the same 5 who started the ball game, in for Dallas. Meanwhile, the backup guards, Webb and Battle, want to get it to Dominique. Overplaying is Aguirre, and Wilkins gets the basket. He took advantage of Aguirre, who tried to deny.
He initiated the contact and was able to control his body and get that shot up. I don't know how he does this.
34 for Wilkins. Aguirre with the ball has 28 and a foul away from the ball against Atlanta. It'll be a shooting situation.
Now we'll see Dominique is coming off the screen. He'll get the basketball, but watch the body control when he meets Donaldson underneath the basket. Just gets that body out there. Just hangs in the air.
Meanwhile, at the other end, as Dominique Wilkins goes over to talk to Cliff Livingston, Kevin Willis has chalked up his 5th personal foul. Davis shooting. And now here comes Livingston, and Kevin Willis goes out with 5 fouls.
And Cliff Livingston coming in, but Kevin Willis is very upset going out. And I think he's been a little frustrated, you know, with himself and the way he's been producing on the court. And I think the way he's going to get more time is to be productive on the court.
89-88, Atlanta. Dallas has still not been able to regain the lead here in the last few minutes. Battle picked up by Perkins on a switch. Livingston gets the shot inside. No one kept Livingston off the board.
Well, Brad Davis switched off onto Livingston and did not concentrate on keeping him off the glass.
5:10 to go on turnover. Webb ahead of Davis. Davis could have picked up that ball, but Webb beat him to it. And on the other end, Livingston slams it through, and now it is a 5-point lead for the Atlanta Hawks.
And the reason he couldn't pick it up, he was so concerned in getting back defensively, seeing Webb come at him, he just had to back off.
Davis looking for Aguirre against Wilkins, and a foul against Dominique. Dominique picked up early fouls, picked up 2. This is only his 3rd.
Now here's Webb. Look at Davis. He's just so concerned in getting back and having that position, not letting Webb go to the basket. He wasn't thinking about going in.
It's hot early. Do you think we'll go back to him before the end of this game?
It depends.